My 7-year-old daughter tugged my hand and whispered, "Daddy, we need to leave now." I thought she was just tired, but what she told me next stunned everyone. Please stay with me as I tell you my story, and don't forget to support our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing with your loved ones. Rebecca had invited me to her housewarming party. She called it a fresh start, a chance to show off her new home, her new life, and most importantly, her new boyfriend, Jake. I didn't want to go, but Lily begged me. She wanted to see her mom happy, and I couldn't deny her that. The moment I walked into the house, I felt the shift, the way Rebecca's eyes lingered on me a beat too long, how Jake's smile carried that smug undertone, like he had won something. Conversations swirled around us, glasses clinked, and laughter echoed. But beneath it all was that tension that comes when you're the outsider in what used to be your family. Rebecca made her little digs in casual conversation, slipping in comments about how Lily was adjusting better now that stability was here, or how she was grateful Jake was stepping into a real father figure role. I bit my tongue, forcing a polite smile, because I knew that exploding in front of strangers would only make me look bitter. Lily stayed close to me, her hand never leaving mine, as if she could feel the unease simmering inside me. While Rebecca entertained her guests, Lily wandered upstairs with some other kids. I thought nothing of it at first, but when she returned, her face wasn't lit up with the careless joy of childhood. Instead, her eyes were wide, her lips pressed tight, and she clung to my sleeve. That's when she whispered the words that shifted the entire night. "Daddy, we need to leave now." I crouched down to her level, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Sweetheart, are you tired?" I asked gently, but she shook her head with urgency. "No. I heard Mommy and Jake talking upstairs with that woman, Vanessa. They were saying something about fixing your car so it doesn't work anymore. And they had a bag with white powder. They laughed about how no one would ever believe me if I told." My stomach dropped. The chatter of the party suddenly seemed muffled, distant, like I was underwater. I searched her face, trying to see if maybe she misunderstood, if this was some kind of wild child's imagination. But her trembling hands and the way she avoided looking toward the stairs told me otherwise. I stood up, my pulse racing, and looked around the room. Rebecca was laughing with Jake, her arm looped around his. Vanessa hovered near them, whispering something that made Jake smirk. The scene was too perfect, too rehearsed, like they were playing house while something darker lurked beneath. "Daddy, please," Lily whispered again, tugging harder at my hand. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about awkward custody exchanges anymore. Something was deeply, dangerously wrong. When we got home that night, I tucked Lily into bed, pretending everything was fine, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The image of her wide eyes and urgent whisper replayed in my head. I stepped out onto the porch, phone in hand, and dialed my sister Sarah. She picked up on the second ring, her voice groggy but instantly alert when she heard the tremor in mine. I told her exactly what Lily had said, every word, every detail. The moment I mentioned the bag of powder and the talk about my car, Sarah's sharp intake of breath cut through the line. "David, this isn't just childish imagination," she said firmly. "This sounds like real danger. If they're talking about messing with your brakes, that's not a joke, it's a plan. And if drugs are involved, you need to be careful. This isn't paranoia. It's a threat." Her words hit harder than I expected. I rubbed my forehead, pacing the porch as I struggled to process it all. "But Sarah, think about it. Who's going to believe this? A child overhearing a conversation at a party? The police would laugh me out of the station. And Rebecca, she'll twist it into me trying to poison Lily against her." "Then you need proof," Sarah pressed. "But don't ignore this, David. You can't afford to. This isn't just about you anymore. Lily's in the middle of it. If there's even a chance they're serious, you need to treat it like life or death." I stopped pacing, my chest tight. She was right. This wasn't only about protecting myself. It was about protecting my daughter from people who clearly didn't care what kind of danger they dragged her into. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with another call. Rebecca's name flashed across the screen. I hesitated, then clicked over. Her voice was overly sweet, the kind of tone she used when she was covering something. David, I heard Lily came back downstairs upset earlier. She must have overheard something silly. Jake and Vanessa were joking around. You know how dark their humor can be. I clenched my jaw, the anger rising with every word. Joking? You think talking about sabotaging my car and flaunting drugs in your house is funny? Lily isn't making this up, Rebecca. She was terrified. She gave a short, dismissive laugh. You're blowing this out of proportion. Maybe you're just looking for reasons to make me look bad. Listen carefully. I cut in, my voice low and steady. If anything happens to me or my daughter, anything at all, the police will know exactly where to start looking. Do you understand me? There was a pause on the other end, the silence heavier than any words she could have spoken. Then she muttered, "You're being ridiculous," before hanging up. I stood there on the porch, the night air cold against my skin, phone still pressed to my ear long after the call ended. For the first time, I realized the line had been drawn. Whatever came next, I couldn't pretend this was just family drama anymore. It was something darker, and Lily's safety depended on me taking it seriously. The next morning, Rebecca showed up at my door uninvited. She wore that polished smile she always used when she wanted to control the narrative, but her eyes betrayed her. "David," she began, arms folded, "you can't seriously be taking Lily's little story as fact. She misheard, that's all. Kids imagine things." I let her speak, then stepped closer so she could see I wasn't backing down. "Don't play me, Rebecca. I know what Lily heard. If Jake stays anywhere near her, I'll go after custody. I won't let her grow up in that mess." Her smile faltered for the briefest second before she regained her composure. "You wouldn't dare," she whispered, but the crack in her voice told me she wasn't as confident as she wanted me to believe. After she left, I called Sarah. She didn't waste time with sympathy. If she's already scrambling, it means she's hiding something. Don't just threaten her, David, get proof. That's the only way you'll win this fight. Her words pushed me to think deeper. Rebecca had someone who used to know her better than anyone else, Caroline. They'd been inseparable since college, and though I hadn't spoken to her in years, I remembered how protective she was of Rebecca back then. If anyone had noticed a change, it would be her. I found Caroline's number buried in my contacts and hesitated before pressing call. When she picked up, there was surprise in her voice, but not hostility. We exchanged awkward pleasantries until I asked if we could meet. There was a long pause, and then she sighed. "I think we should. There are things I can't ignore anymore." Her tone was heavy, the kind that carried secrets. She suggested we meet somewhere quiet, away from Rebecca's reach. That single moment told me more than any denial Rebecca had thrown my way. As I hung up, I felt something shift. For the first time since Lily whispered those words at the party, I didn't feel completely alone. Rebecca wasn't untouchable, and Jake wasn't as untouchable as he thought either. There were cracks in their perfect facade, and maybe, just maybe, those cracks would be enough to bring the whole thing down. I met Caroline at a small cafe tucked into a quiet corner of town, the kind of place where no one asked questions. She arrived looking nervous, sunglasses hiding her eyes even though it was overcast. When she finally slid into the booth across from me, she pulled them off and gave a tired smile. "I wasn't sure I should come," she admitted, her fingers fidgeting with the coffee cup. "But I can't keep pretending nothing's wrong." I stayed silent, letting her talk. She took a breath and her words tumbled out. "Rebecca isn't the same. Ever since Jake showed up, she's been different. I've been to their house. There are parties that don't feel right. People I don't know, faces that look dangerous. I tried to tell myself she was just having fun, but then," she trailed off, eyes watering. "Then what?" I asked. Her voice lowered. I found a bag tucked behind her bathroom sink. It wasn't hidden well. White powder. I didn't want to believe it, but I know what it was. When I confronted her, she brushed it off, said it was Jake's and that I was overreacting. But that wasn't the only thing. She glanced around the cafe, then leaned closer. "I overheard Jake one night. He was on the phone, talking about a Colombian package being late. He sounded angry, like someone owed him. I didn't stick around to hear more, but it scared me. It wasn't some harmless slip. He's involved in something big. Caroline's composure finally cracked, tears slipping down her cheeks. I love Rebecca, I really do. We've been friends forever. But Lily doesn't deserve to be around any of this. I can't stay quiet anymore. Her words hit me like a wave. She wasn't just guessing, she had seen it with her own eyes. For a moment, I saw the weight she carried, torn between loyalty to a friend and fear for an innocent child. If it comes to it, I asked gently, would you be willing to say all of this to someone official? Testify if necessary. She hesitated, then nodded firmly. Yes, for Lily's sake I would. Relief washed through me. For the first time, I felt like I had more than just suspicion. I had someone who could stand beside me. As we finished our coffee, my phone buzzed on the table. The name flashing on the screen made me freeze. Detective Collins, an old buddy from college I hadn't spoken to in years. I answered, and his voice was all business. David, I don't know what's going on in your world right now, but Jake's name has come up in something I'm working on. We need to talk. The call ended as quickly as it began, leaving me staring at the phone, pulse racing. Whatever I had stumbled into was bigger than I imagined. Collins met me in a diner off the highway, the kind of place where no one paid attention to strangers. He slid into the booth across from me, his expression grave. I can't share every detail, but you need to know this. Jake's been circling our radar for months. His name's tied to shipments we've been tracking. We suspect heavy trafficking. You being anywhere near him? Dangerous. I sat back, heart thudding. Hearing it from Caroline was one thing, but Collins confirming it turned suspicion into reality. So what happens now? Do you take him in? Collins shook his head. Not yet. We're building a bigger case, and timing matters. If we move too soon, he slips through and everything falls apart. That's why you need to tread carefully. Don't let on that you know. Don't provoke him. The warning hit hard. Part of me wanted to storm over to Rebecca's place, drag Lily out of there, and never look back. Another part knew that if I pushed too soon, I could ruin the chance to stop him for good. I rubbed my temples, caught between rage and caution. When I got home, Lily was waiting at the kitchen table, drawing. She looked up with her innocent eyes and asked, "Daddy, is Mom in trouble?" The question pierced deeper than any of Collins's words. I forced a gentle smile, but my throat tightened. "Why do you ask that, sweetheart?" She shrugged, focusing back on her crayons. "You look worried a lot. And Mommy, she doesn't seem happy anymore." I crouched beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Listen to me, Lily. No matter what happens, I'll keep you safe. Always. You never need to be scared as long as I'm here." She wrapped her arms around my neck, and for a moment, the weight of everything pressing down on me didn't feel so crushing. But deep inside, I knew promises weren't enough. This wasn't going to end quietly. As I tucked her into bed later, the thought circled my mind like a storm. I couldn't sit back forever. At some point, I would have to face Rebecca, look her in the eye, and force her to choose between Jake and her own daughter. Collins's warning echoed in my head, but so did Lily's trembling whisper from that night at the party. Sooner or later, the truth would come out. And when it did, the collision between us and them would be impossible to avoid. The path forward was set. I just had to be ready for the showdown that was coming. Caroline Collins and I sat around a table littered with files, photographs, and notes. Between Caroline's testimony, Collins's intel, and the documents he discreetly pulled, the picture was undeniable. Rebecca's name appeared on property records linked to shell companies Jake used. Money trails circled back to accounts she had signed off on. Collins's voice was steady as he laid it out. "She may not be the mastermind, but she's knee-deep. Enough to confront her without tipping our hand to Jake." 2 days later, we walked into Rebecca's office. She looked up from her desk, startled to see all three of us together. "What is this?" she demanded, trying to sound authoritative, but I caught the flicker of fear in her eyes. I set the folder on her desk and opened it slowly, laying out each piece. Property titles, transfers tied to laundering, Jake's front businesses, and your signature, Rebecca. Tell me again how Lily is safe in your care. Her face drained of color. She tried to laugh, then shook her head violently. This is twisted. You're setting me up. I don't know what you think you've found, but it's lies. Caroline spoke softly, almost apologetically. Rebecca, I've seen it. The parties, the people, the drugs in your own house. You can't keep pretending it isn't happening. Rebecca's composure snapped. She slammed her hands on the desk, voice rising. You think you're taking her from me? Over Jake? Over mistakes? Lily is mine. You can't take her. I met her fury with calm finality. I'm not taking her, Rebecca. You're giving her away every time you choose him over her safety. You've left me no choice. Her anger dissolved into tears. She sank into her chair, face buried in her hands. Don't do this. Don't take Lily. I'll fix it. I'll end it with Jake. I'll do anything. Just don't take her from me. I stood tall, my voice unyielding. You already did this to yourself. I won't let Lily pay the price for your decisions. At that moment, Colin stepped forward, his badge visible. Rebecca, enough. This isn't just about custody. You're involved in an ongoing investigation. We need you to come with us. She looked up, mascara streaked, eyes wide with desperation. You can't, she started, but Collins was already motioning for her to stand. As she was guided out of the office, her protests echoing down the hall, the weight of it all settled over me. I watched her disappear through the doorway, feeling both the sting of finality and the relief of progress. For the first time, the balance had shifted. She wasn't in control anymore, and Lily's safety no longer hung entirely on my shoulders. The battle wasn't over, but the tide had turned. News broke fast. Jake and Vanessa were taken in during a late-night sweep. Collins had called me the next morning, his tone clipped but satisfied. They're in custody. Your ex cooperated enough to dodge a cell, but she's far from free. That gave me the opening I needed. With Sarah by my side, I filed for emergency custody, citing Rebecca's connection to the mess. The hearing came quickly, the tension in the courtroom thick enough to choke on. Rebecca arrived looking polished, but her eyes darted nervously, betraying the calm she tried to project. My attorney laid out the facts with precision. Documents linked her to Jake's dealings. Caroline stepped forward, voice trembling but clear, recounting what she had seen in the house, the drugs, the dangerous people. Sarah added her own support, speaking about the fear Lily had carried since that night. When Rebecca's turn came, she clung to the stand, insisting she had been manipulated, claiming she was blinded by love, that she never meant harm. But the more she spoke, the more the cracks showed. The judge leaned forward, unimpressed, as her explanations unraveled under questioning. Her credibility slipped away with every shaky denial. I kept my eyes on Lily, who sat quietly in the back with Sarah during breaks, unaware of the storm raging around her. Every word spoken, every document submitted, I reminded myself it wasn't about winning against Rebecca. It was about keeping that little girl safe. After hours that felt like years, the judge finally delivered the decision. His voice rang steady in the hushed room. I was granted full custody. Rebecca would be limited to supervised visits only, her access strictly controlled. Rebecca's face twisted with a mix of fury and devastation. She shot me a glare that burned, her voice a hiss through clenched teeth. This isn't over, David. You'll regret this. I didn't respond. Her words couldn't touch the relief coursing through me as I looked back at Sarah, at Caroline, at Lily. For the first time, I felt the weight lift. The victory was emotional, raw, and real, not because Rebecca lost, but because Lily finally won. Walking out of that courthouse, holding my daughter's small hand, I knew the fight wasn't finished. Rebecca's vow of revenge hung in the air like a storm cloud. But for that moment, the sun broke through, and I allowed myself to breathe. 6 months passed, and life settled into a rhythm I hadn't thought possible. Mornings began with pancakes at our kitchen table. Evenings ended with homework spread across the couch, and weekends were filled with small adventures that kept Lily smiling. The house felt lighter, no longer weighed down by tension. Rebecca kept up appearances with court-ordered programs, Rehab sessions, parenting classes, supervised contact, but her tone hadn't changed. Even during monitored visits, she slipped in little jabs, veiled comments about how things would be different soon. I learned to let her words slide off, because Lily no longer clung to them the way she once had. What surprised me most was how naturally Caroline became part of our world. At first, she stopped by to check on Lily, to reassure herself she had done the right thing by speaking up. But slowly, she became a fixture, sharing dinners, helping with school projects, bringing warmth into our days. Sarah often joked that Caroline was more family than some blood relatives. One warm afternoon, the three of us walked to a corner ice cream shop. Lily sat between us, swinging her legs under the bench as she licked at her cone, chocolate smudging her cheek. Out of nowhere, she looked up at me with that matter-of-fact honesty only kids have. "Daddy, I like our life now." The words struck me deeper than I expected. Simple, unpolished, but truer than anything I could have said myself. I smiled, brushing the chocolate from her chin. "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." Caroline met my eyes across the table, her expression soft, a quiet acknowledgement of how far we'd come. For months, everything had been about fighting, proving, surviving. Now, for the first time, I realized we were building something real, something steady, safe, and even joyful. As we walked home with the sun setting behind us, Lily's laughter echoing down the street, I understood the lesson hidden beneath the struggle. Revenge hadn't been about tearing Rebecca down or watching Jake fall. The real victory was this: replacing chaos with peace, fear with security, loneliness with love. The war had left scars, but in their place grew something stronger. And in that moment, hand in hand with my daughter, I knew we were finally free to start living. The first message came late one evening, a short email with the subject line, "I'm sorry." Rebecca wrote about change, about wanting to make things right, about Lily deserving a better mother. I stared at the screen for a long time, then closed the laptop without replying. A week later, another message arrived. This time it was longer. She claimed she was working through her programs, seeing progress, and begged me to meet her privately so she could explain everything. My answer was simple: no. If she wanted to see Lily, it would remain under supervision. That boundary wasn't moving. Sarah noticed my tension and asked what was going on. I told her about the emails, and she shook her head. "Don't let her pull you back in. People don't change overnight, and she's not doing this for you. She's doing it because she lost control." Her warning stuck with me, heavy but true. Then Collins called. His tone was steady but carried weight. "We dug deeper," he said. "Turns out Rebecca wasn't as innocent as she claimed during the investigation. There are connections, money transfers, meetings, but nothing concrete enough to press charges. She played a bigger role, David. She just covered her tracks better." The words hit hard, not because they shocked me, but because they confirmed what I already suspected. Rebecca wasn't chasing redemption. She was crafting an image. A performance designed to regain leverage, to claw her way back into relevance. That night, I scrolled through her old messages again. Every line about change, about regret, felt hollow now, calculated rather than sincere. For a brief moment, I'd wanted to believe in the possibility of growth. But the truth was clear. Some transformations are only masks. I closed my phone, tucked it away, and reminded myself of the promise I'd made: to keep Lily safe, no matter how convincing Rebecca tried to sound. One evening, Lily leaned against me, her voice soft. "Dad, are you still mad at Mom?" The question lingered, filled with her quiet innocence. I looked at her, steady. "I'm not mad anymore. Anger doesn't build anything. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, but true change shows in actions, not promises." She listened carefully, eyes wide, nodding as though she understood more than her age should allow. Then she whispered, "I'm glad you heard me that night." Her words carried the weight of everything that had followed. I squeezed her hand, letting her know I always would. It became clear in that moment. What mattered most wasn't payback or proving anyone wrong. The victory was here, in the safety I had fought for, in the trust between us, in a home no one could shake. Do you think I made the right decision by walking away and protecting Lily? Or should I have given Rebecca another chance? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss my next story.